Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something, and I want you to really hear me out. Life is full of choices. It's full of crossroads, full of moments where you have to make a decision that could change the trajectory of everything. And there's one decision I want to talk to you about today, something that I believe many of you have been wrestling with, whether you know it or not. It's this knowing when to walk away. You see, walking away isn't about quitting. It's not about failure. It's not about weakness. It's about recognizing your worth, your value, and understanding that you are not obligated to stay in places, situations, or relationships where you're not appreciated. There's a lie that's been fed to us that we have to stay, that we have to fight, that we have to prove ourselves, that we have to endure everything, no matter how much it hurts. And for some of us, we've held on for far too long because we were afraid of being judged, afraid of what others would say. But what I'm telling you today is this: you don't owe anyone your peace. You don't owe anyone your happiness. And you certainly don't owe anyone the best of you if they're not going to appreciate it. Now, walking away, it's not easy. It never is. We're conditioned to believe that the longer we stay, the stronger we are. But sometimes the strongest thing you can do is recognize that the environment you're in, whether it's a job, a relationship, a friendship, or any situation, is not nurturing you. It's not lifting you. It's draining you. And if it's draining you, it's stealing from you. And when something starts stealing from you, it's time to walk away. I want you to think about your life for a moment. Think about the people you've invested in, the energy you've given, the sacrifices you've made. Think about the hours you spent giving, and ask yourself, what have you received in return? What have you gotten out of it? When's the last time someone acknowledged your efforts? When's the last time someone appreciated you for what you bring to the table? When's the last time you felt valued? The truth is, you may never get the recognition you deserve. You may never hear those words of appreciation you long for. But that doesn't mean you have to stay and keep giving to a place or person that doesn't value you. There's a time for everything, and sometimes that time is up. Sometimes the only way forward is to turn around and walk away. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I can't walk away. I've invested so much time. I've worked so hard. I've sacrificed so much. I hear you. I do. But let me ask you this: what's more important, the time you've invested or the time you have left? What's more important, the person who's taken you for granted or the person you're becoming when you free yourself from that situation? I know it's difficult. The fear of starting over is real. The uncertainty, the unknown, it can be paralyzing. But let me tell you something about fear. It's a part of growth. The greatest things that have ever happened in my life and the lives of many people you admire came after a moment of fear, a moment of uncertainty, a moment of doubt. But they had the courage to take a step, to make a choice. And that choice was to walk away. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't owe anyone an explanation. When someone doesn't value your time, your energy, your love, or your effort, you don't have to explain to them why you've had enough. Your actions will speak louder than any words you could say. Walking away is a statement. It's saying, I know my worth, I know what I bring to the table, and if you can't see that, then that's your loss. And believe me, it's their loss. When you walk away, you're making room for something better. You're making space for new opportunities, new people, new experiences. And it's in that space that you'll discover a new level of strength you didn't even know you had. But you have to be willing to let go of what's holding you back in order to embrace what's waiting for you. Don't stay out of guilt. Don't stay out of fear. Don't stay out of obligation. You owe it to yourself to walk into a future that values you, a future where you are appreciated, a future where you are honored, respected, and loved. But walking away doesn't mean you give up on people. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you've chosen to care about yourself enough to let go of what's not serving you. You can still love from a distance. You can still send positive energy into the world without being tied down by toxic situations. You can still be a light without allowing others to dim yours. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be valued. And if you're not being treated with the respect and appreciation you deserve, you don't have to stay. You can walk away, and in doing so, you are sending a powerful message to the universe, to God, to the world. I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't align with my value. It's easy to get caught up in the trap of believing that staying in a bad situation somehow makes you stronger. We think that enduring hardship, suffering in silence, and sacrificing for others will make us noble. But let me tell you something, you don't have to sacrifice yourself to prove your worth. You don't have to break yourself down to build someone else up. You don't have to lose yourself just to be loved. Your worth is not defined by your ability to endure mistreatment. Your worth is defined by how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you. So when that job doesn't appreciate your efforts, when those people take you for granted, when that relationship drains your energy and takes away your peace, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to walk towards something better. You are not obligated to stay anywhere that doesn't honor who you are and what you bring to the world. You have the power to create the life you want. You have the power to build a future that reflects your worth. But to do that, you have to make the choice to walk away from anything that doesn't add value to your life, to your peace, to your happiness. You have to have the courage to say, I'm walking away not because I'm weak, but because I'm strong enough to know that I deserve more. Every time you choose yourself, you become stronger. Every time you decide to leave behind what doesn't serve you, you open the door to a brighter future. Every time you walk away, you create space for new opportunities to flow into your life. And every time you walk away from something that doesn't appreciate you, you walk towards something that will. So take a deep breath. Know that you are enough. Know that you are deserving of all the good things that life has to offer. And when the time comes and you know it's time, walk away. It's not a defeat. It's a victory. It's a victory for your peace. A victory for your happiness. A victory for your life. You are worth it. Understand your value and don't settle for situations, relationships, or environments that don't appreciate or respect you. Walking away is a powerful acknowledgement of your self-worth. Walking away is not a sign of weakness or failure. It's a courageous decision to let go of what's not serving you and to protect your peace, happiness, and personal growth. When you choose to walk away from a situation or person that's draining you, you don't owe them an explanation. Your actions speak louder than words, and your choice to walk away is a clear statement of self-respect. By walking away from things that no longer align with your values or contribute to your growth, you create space for better opportunities, healthier relationships, and a brighter future. Don't stay out of guilt, fear, or obligation. You deserve to be valued, respected, and appreciated. Walking away allows you to create the life you truly deserve, one where your worth is recognized and your happiness is prioritized. You may have heard the saying, know your worth. It sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But it's one of the hardest lessons to truly internalize and live by. Recognizing your worth isn't just about feeling good about yourself in the moment. It's about understanding your value in every aspect of your life. It's about realizing that you are worthy of respect, love, happiness, and success, no matter what circumstances you find yourself in. And more than that, it's about refusing to settle for less than you deserve. The truth is, many of us grow up in environments, families, or social circles where we are taught to give more of ourselves than we ever receive in return. We are conditioned to believe that our worth is measured by what we do for others, how much we sacrifice, how hard we work, and how much we can endure. From a young age, we are told to be humble, to be selfless, to give without expecting anything in return. While those qualities can be virtues when practiced and balanced, they can easily be manipulated and twisted into a belief that your worth is based on your ability to constantly give and never ask for anything in return. This idea that you have to prove yourself through sacrifice and self-denial is dangerous. It teaches you to undervalue yourself. But here's the reality: you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give to others when you are empty, exhausted, and drained. And yet, how many times have you ignored your own needs, your own desires, your own boundaries, all because you didn't want to be perceived as selfish? How many times have you stayed in relationships, jobs, or situations where you weren't being appreciated simply because you thought it was your responsibility to keep giving. It's time to stop. It's time to recognize that your worth is not based on what you can give to others. Your worth is inherent. It is not conditional. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to work for it. You don't have to prove it to anyone. It is there inside you all the time, just waiting for you to realize it. One of the most important steps in recognizing your worth is acknowledging that you are enough, just as you are. You are enough without needing to be anything else, without needing to change yourself for anyone or to meet anyone else's expectations. There is nothing wrong with wanting to grow and evolve, but you don't have to change who you are to be worthy of love, success, or respect. The world may tell you that you need to be something more, something different, but the truth is you are already worthy as you are. Your worth is not defined by your appearance, your job title, your social status, or the number of people who like you. It's not about meeting external standards or chasing validation from others. It's about looking inside yourself and saying, I am worthy simply because I exist. Another aspect of recognizing your worth is learning to set boundaries. Boundaries are one of the clearest ways you can communicate your value to others. If you don't set boundaries, you are essentially telling the world that you don't care about your own needs and that you're willing to let others treat you however they see fit. People will test your boundaries, they will push against them, and sometimes they will try to make you feel guilty for having them. But you must stand firm. Your boundaries are a reflection of how much you value yourself. When you know your worth, you don't allow others to violate your space, your time, or your energy. You teach people how to treat you by showing them the standard of respect and care you expect. Setting boundaries is not about being harsh or unkind. It's about protecting your peace, your mental health, and your well-being. It's about saying, this is what I need, and I am not willing to sacrifice it just to make you feel comfortable. When you can say no without feeling guilty, when you can walk away from situations that don't serve you, you are stepping into your power. And when you do this, when you start to recognize your worth in this way, you create a life that is aligned with your values and your desires. It's important to remember that recognizing your worth is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that takes time, and it involves unlearning years of negative conditioning. It means confronting the lies you've been told about who you are and replacing them with the truth that you are worthy of everything you desire. But the journey starts with small steps. The first step is deciding that you are no longer willing to accept less than you deserve. The next step is taking action, setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, walking away from people and situations that are not aligned with your values. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to practice self-love. And self-love doesn't just mean pampering yourself every now and then with a bubble bath or a shopping spree, though those things are nice. It means taking the time every day to nurture yourself, to affirm your value, and to make choices that reflect your worth. Self-love is about being kind to yourself, speaking to yourself with compassion, and forgiving yourself when you make mistakes. It's about giving yourself the same love and care that you would give to someone else. We often talk about loving others unconditionally, but the truth is, we need to love ourselves first. If you don't love and respect yourself, it's hard for anyone else to do so. When you truly recognize your worth, you start to show up for yourself in ways you never have before. But self-love isn't just about thinking positive thoughts or repeating affirmations in the mirror. It's also about being honest with yourself. It's about recognizing the areas in your life where you are settling, where you are not being true to yourself, and where you are allowing others to take advantage of you. Sometimes the hardest part of recognizing your worth is facing the truth about your life and making the necessary changes. It's about asking yourself the tough questions. Am I truly happy here? Is this situation contributing to my growth? Am I allowing people to treat me in ways that don't honor my value? You can only recognize your worth when you are willing to do the hard work of self-reflection and self-awareness. It requires you to be brutally honest about your needs, your desires, and your limits. And sometimes that honesty means walking away from things that are no longer serving you. It means saying no to people who are not treating you with the respect you deserve, even if they are family or close friends. It means making the difficult decision to leave behind relationships, jobs, or situations that are keeping you small, that are draining your energy, or that are stifling your growth. Recognizing your worth also means owning your power. Too often we downplay our strengths, our achievements, and our abilities because we don't want to seem arrogant or boastful. But there's a fine line between humility and self-deprecation. Humility is acknowledging that you don't know everything and that you have room to grow. But self-deprecation is undermining yourself, downplaying your accomplishments, and hiding your light. When you recognize your worth, you own your power, you own your abilities, and you don't apologize for being great at what you do. Whether it's at work, in your personal life, or in your relationships, don't shy away from shining your light. Don't dim your light to make others feel comfortable. Recognize your worth and allow yourself to stand tall and proud of all that you've accomplished and all that you are. There's also a deeper spiritual element to recognizing your worth. For many people, recognizing their worth involves connecting with something greater than themselves, whether that's God, the universe, or a higher power. Understanding that you are divinely created, that you are part of something much bigger, can help you tap into a sense of purpose and meaning that transcends external circumstances. When you recognize your worth on a spiritual level, you know that you are worthy of everything that life has to offer because you were made for greatness. You were made with purpose. And that purpose is not limited by the opinions of others or the obstacles you may face. Your worth is inherent in your very being. Ultimately, recognizing your worth is a declaration of freedom. It's a declaration that you are no longer willing to let others define you. It's a declaration that you are not going to live for the approval or validation of others. It's a declaration that you will live your life on your own terms in alignment with your values, your purpose, and your deepest desires. And when you do that, when you recognize your worth and refuse to settle for anything less than what you deserve, you open up a world of possibilities. You attract the people, opportunities, and experiences that match your energy. You start to create a life that is abundant, fulfilling, and aligned with who you truly are. So today, right now, decide to recognize your worth. Decide to stop giving away your power, your energy, your love to people or situations that don't value you. Decide to stand in your truth, to own your greatness, and to live a life that reflects your true value. Because you are worthy, always have been, always will be. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can take that away from you. There's a common misconception in society that walking away from a situation, a person, or a challenge is the same as quitting. We are taught from a young age that perseverance and endurance are virtues, that the only way to succeed is through sheer grit and determination. We are told to never give up and to fight until the very end. And while these qualities are important in many areas of life, there's a critical distinction that needs to be made. Walking away is not the same as quitting. Quitting implies surrendering in the face of adversity without a clear reason, without any thought or consideration, simply giving up when things get hard. But walking away is a conscious decision, a decision made when you recognize that staying in a situation that no longer serves you, that no longer helps you grow, or that no longer contributes positively to your life is far worse than leaving it behind. Sometimes walking away is the most courageous thing you can do. It takes real strength to step away from something that you've invested time, energy, and emotions into, especially when you know that the outcome is not going to change, no matter how hard you try. It's a hard truth, but sometimes staying in a situation simply because you feel obligated to, or because you think that somehow your endurance will make it better, is actually holding you back from greater opportunities and personal growth. When we talk about walking away, it's important to understand that this decision comes from a place of self-awareness. It comes from understanding who you are, knowing what you need, and recognizing when something is not aligned with your values, goals, or dreams. Walking away doesn't mean that you are incapable of handling challenges or that you're afraid of failure. Quite the opposite. It means you are capable of recognizing when a situation is no longer serving you and that you have the courage to let go, to move on, and to create space for something better. One of the most difficult aspects of walking away is the feeling of guilt. Society often teaches us that we should give and give without concern for ourselves. We are told to be loyal, to be reliable, and to stick with things until the bitter end. And while loyalty and commitment are important virtues, they should never come at the cost of your happiness, your mental health, or your peace of mind. Walking away does not mean you are abandoning anyone or that you are letting people down. It simply means that you are choosing to prioritize yourself, your well-being, and your future. Walking away is an act of self-respect. It's a recognition that you deserve more than what you are currently receiving, and that you are willing to make the tough decision to step away from something that is not giving you the return you deserve. You are saying, I have given what I could, I have tried my best, but it's time for me to move forward. Now, you might ask, but what if I'm leaving something unfinished? What if I'm walking away from a relationship, a job, or a project that I've invested so much into? This is where we need to shift our perspective. Walking away doesn't mean abandoning what is unfinished. It simply means recognizing when the time has come to let go of something that no longer aligns with your vision or your purpose. There's no shame in walking away from something that has reached its natural conclusion, even if it feels like there is still work to be done. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself and for the situation is to leave, to walk away, to allow space for new beginnings, for fresh opportunities, for a new chapter to unfold. Take relationships, for example. How many times have we stayed in toxic relationships, friendships, or partnerships simply because we felt that walking away would be a sign of failure? We convince ourselves that if we just stay a little longer, work a little harder, things will get better. But staying in a relationship where your needs are not being met, where respect and appreciation are lacking, or where you are being taken for granted, is a recipe for exhaustion. It's not noble, it's not strong. In fact, it's a form of self-neglect. Walking away from such a relationship is not quitting. It's choosing to value yourself enough to say, this is no longer working, and I deserve better. The same principle applies to jobs and careers. People stay in jobs they hate, in work environments that drain them, in positions where they feel undervalued, all because they fear the unknown. The idea of leaving the security of a paycheck, the comfort of a familiar routine, or the safety of a known position feels risky. But how many people have you known, or how many people have you heard of, who have stayed in careers or companies far too long, only to realize that they had wasted years of their life, sacrificing their happiness for the illusion of security? Walking away from a job, a career path, or an organization that no longer serves your goals or brings you fulfillment is not quitting. It's taking ownership of your future, acknowledging that there is more out there for you, and having the courage to pursue it. Similarly, walking away from a personal project or passion that you've invested countless hours into can feel like a massive failure, but sometimes it's the most intelligent decision you can make. If you've put your heart into something and you realize that it's not bringing you the satisfaction or success you expected, walking away can be the first step in learning something valuable and in creating room for new endeavors that are more in line with your true calling. Letting go is not the same as giving up. Letting go is the understanding that your energy and resources are better spent on something else, something that will ultimately fulfill you more. There's a mental shift that needs to happen when we think about walking away. It's easy to see walking away as a failure because we are conditioned to see endurance and perseverance as the ultimate measures of success. However, the reality is that knowing when to walk away is an even greater skill than knowing when to fight through adversity. The ability to recognize that a situation is no longer serving you, that your efforts are no longer being reciprocated, and that it's time to move on is a sign of emotional intelligence and maturity. It means you are in tune with yourself and your needs. It means you are not afraid to make difficult decisions for the sake of your own growth and well-being. In the end, walking away is an act of strength. It takes more courage to walk away than to stay stuck in a situation that is no longer healthy or beneficial for you. It requires self-awareness, confidence, and a deep understanding of your own value. It's not an easy choice, but it's a necessary one if you want to move forward in life and achieve the kind of success and fulfillment you deserve. And here's the most important thing to remember: walking away opens up new opportunities. It makes space for new people, new experiences, and new paths. When you free yourself from something that is holding you back, you allow yourself to grow. You give yourself the opportunity to step into something better, something that is aligned with your purpose and your values. Walking away doesn't close doors, it opens them. And while it might feel uncertain and even painful at first, it's a necessary part of your personal evolution. So next time you're faced with a decision to walk away from something, whether it's a relationship, a job, a project, or a situation that is no longer serving you, don't see it as quitting. See it as a powerful step toward reclaiming your life, your happiness, and your future. Because walking away is not about giving up. It's about choosing yourself, choosing your growth, and choosing the life you deserve. And that is the most powerful decision you can make. There's a quiet pressure that many of us carry throughout life, a pressure to explain ourselves. We are taught from a young age that we must justify our actions, our decisions, and our choices to others, as if the mere act of living requires us to provide an explanation. Whether it's in our personal relationships, at work, or even within our social circles, there's an underlying belief that we must always give an account of why we do what we do. But here's the truth: you don't owe anyone an explanation. In a world that constantly demands transparency and answers, it can feel unnatural to assert that you have no obligation to explain yourself. We're conditioned to seek approval, to make sure others are comfortable with the choices we make. However, the reality is that your life, your actions, your decisions are yours and yours alone. You are the only one who fully understands your motivations, your circumstances, and your needs. And in the end, you shouldn't feel the need to justify those things to anyone. One of the most important things to realize is that people often ask for explanations because they are trying to gain control or understanding over something they can't relate to, don't fully understand, or don't approve of. But this doesn't mean you are obligated to give them an answer. Their confusion, discomfort, or even their judgment is not your responsibility. The need to explain yourself comes from a place of wanting to appease others, to make them comfortable with your decisions, to gain their validation. But what if I told you that you don't need anyone's approval to make the decisions that are best for you? What if I told you that your life is yours to live and you have every right to make choices that serve your happiness, your well-being, and your goals without seeking permission or offering explanations? Consider the times when you felt pressure to explain your decisions. Perhaps you chose a career path that others didn't understand or didn't approve of. Maybe you decided to end a relationship or make a lifestyle change and others demanded to know why. How often have you found yourself going over your reasoning in an attempt to justify your actions, trying to make others understand why you did what you did? We've all been there. And here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with explaining yourself when you feel it's necessary or when it's requested respectfully. But you should never feel like you have to explain yourself, especially when doing so would undermine your own boundaries, self-respect, or peace of mind. Sometimes we explain ourselves because we fear judgment or rejection. We worry that people won't accept our decisions or that they won't understand why we've chosen to do things differently. The fear of judgment is a powerful force that can hold us back from making authentic decisions. But here's the reality: not everyone will understand your choices. Not everyone will approve. And that's okay. You are not living your life for others. You are living it for yourself, and no one else's opinion should dictate your happiness, your journey, or your path. When you make a decision, you are the one who knows all the variables, the complexities, the sacrifices, the thought process, and the emotional labor that went into it. Other people don't have access to your inner world. They don't see what you've gone through, the battles you fought, the fears you faced, or the desires that drive you. Your choices are based on your own unique circumstances, and no one else has the full picture. So why should you feel the need to explain something that only you truly understand? If they don't get it, it's not your job to make them see it. You don't owe them that. Another reason we feel compelled to explain ourselves is because of our desire to maintain harmony, to avoid conflict, and to keep the peace. We are taught that confrontation is uncomfortable and that disagreement can lead to rejection or disapproval. But conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. Disagreement doesn't have to lead to resentment. The truth is, you can make decisions without explaining them, without justifying them, and still maintain respect in your relationships. Respect doesn't come from agreeing on everything. It comes from understanding that each person has the right to make their own choices, even if those choices are different from yours. You can assert your boundaries and your decisions without having to convince anyone else to accept them. It's also important to understand that explaining yourself often comes from a place of over-explaining. Some of us are habitual over-explainers, feeling like we have to provide long, detailed justifications for every action we take. But over-explaining can often diminish your power. When you feel the need to over-explain, you inadvertently give away your own authority over your life. You might find yourself justifying decisions that you've already made, even when you know deep down that you're doing what's best for you. Over-explaining also opens the door for others to question you, to criticize you, or to try to change your mind. The more you explain, the more you invite others to critique your choices, to make them doubt you, and to potentially push you to second-guess yourself. In truth, you don't need anyone's approval to feel secure in your decisions. Your choices should come from a place of confidence and self-assurance, not from a need to explain yourself to others. When you stop feeling the need to explain yourself, you stop seeking permission, you stop seeking validation, you stop living your life for anyone other than yourself. This doesn't mean you shut out the opinions of others completely. It doesn't mean you stop listening to advice or considering other perspectives. It simply means that you stop letting other people's opinions weigh more heavily on you than your own inner compass. When you know who you are and what you want, you are less likely to seek approval. You are more likely to trust your own instincts and follow your own path, even when others question it. The act of not explaining yourself is, in many ways, an act of reclaiming your autonomy. It's about recognizing that you are in control of your decisions and that no one else needs to understand, agree with, or approve of them for you to feel confident in them. You have the right to choose your own path, to change your mind, to grow, to evolve, and to live your truth. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for that. Sometimes when you explain yourself too much, you end up falling into the trap of people-pleasing. You might feel like you have to explain yourself because you fear that someone will be upset with you or that they will misunderstand your actions. People-pleasing can become a pattern where you sacrifice your own desires and well-being to make others feel comfortable. But people-pleasing doesn't serve you, and it certainly doesn't serve those around you. It leads to resentment, burnout, and frustration. The only person you truly owe an explanation to is yourself. You owe it to yourself to stand firm in your decisions, to honor your feelings, and to prioritize your needs without feeling like you have to justify everything to others. Let's talk about how this applies in the context of difficult conversations or situations like ending a relationship or leaving a job. Many people feel like they have to explain themselves when they choose to walk away from something or someone. But when you are ready to leave, when you've made the decision, the most important thing is that you are ready. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why something no longer serves you. If you've given your best, if you've tried everything within your power, and if you've made the decision to move on, then that is enough. Your decision to walk away is a statement in itself, a statement that you are choosing yourself, that you are taking control of your future, and that you are no longer willing to sacrifice your well-being to appease anyone else. There is a certain peace that comes with not feeling the need to explain yourself. It's liberating. It's empowering. You free yourself from the burden of seeking validation, from trying to make everyone else understand your choices. You begin to trust in your own judgment and your own ability to navigate the complexities of life. You stop looking for permission, and you stop second-guessing yourself. You understand that your path is yours to walk, and you don't have to justify every step to anyone else. The truth is, you can live a full, authentic, and fulfilling life without ever needing to explain your decisions to anyone. The key is learning to trust yourself, to stand in your power, and to honor your own needs. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop doubting yourself, you learn to embrace your choices with confidence and without apology. You take ownership of your life and your decisions, and in doing so, you create a sense of peace and clarity that only comes when you are fully aligned with your true self. At the end of the day, your life is yours. Your choices are yours. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not for the things you do, not for the choices you make, not for the dreams you pursue. The only explanation you owe is to yourself. And once you give yourself permission to live authentically, free from the need for approval or validation from others, you unlock the kind of freedom that will allow you to truly thrive. In life, we often find ourselves weighed down by the excess, too many commitments, too many obligations, too many things we feel we have to do, too many people we feel we need to please, and too much noise in our minds. We become trapped in a cycle of doing things out of obligation or habit, often losing sight of what truly matters to us. But there comes a time when we must make space in our lives for what truly serves us, what aligns with our purpose, and what nourishes our well-being. Making room for what serves you is not just about clearing physical space, it's about creating emotional, mental, and energetic space to welcome the people, experiences, and opportunities that help you grow, thrive, and live your truth. The first step in making room for what serves you is understanding what no longer serves you. This requires self-awareness. It requires taking a hard look at your life, your habits, your relationships, and your choices, and being honest about what is draining you, holding you back, or causing unnecessary stress. It's easy to keep things in our lives because they're familiar, or because we feel obligated, or because we're afraid of change. But when we keep things that no longer serve us, we block the flow of energy that could otherwise be directed toward things that nourish us. You've likely heard the saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's a simple truth, but a truth that many of us overlook until we're completely drained. If you're constantly giving, constantly doing, and constantly pleasing others without taking time to replenish yourself, you will eventually burn out. This applies to every area of life, from work to relationships to personal growth. If you're spending all of your energy on things that don't align with your core values, goals, or well-being, you're going to find yourself exhausted, unfulfilled, and disconnected from your true self. When you make room for what serves you, you allow yourself the space to recharge, to focus on what really matters, and to be more present and effective in all that you do. Sometimes we find ourselves surrounded by people who drain our energy, people who don't respect our boundaries, who bring negativity into our lives, or who don't support our growth. The difficult truth is that we often allow these people to stay in our lives because of guilt, fear of confrontation, or a deep-seated belief that we need to keep them around. But if a person isn't contributing to your well-being, your growth, or your happiness, it's time to reassess their place in your life. Letting go of people who drain your energy is one of the most powerful acts of self-care you can do. It's not about being mean or dismissive. It's about recognizing that your emotional energy is precious and should be protected. When you make room for people who support, uplift, and inspire you, you create a space for deeper, more meaningful relationships. Making room for what serves you also means letting go of commitments and obligations that no longer serve your purpose. So often we say yes to things out of habit, guilt, or fear of disappointing others. We overcommit ourselves because we feel like we should do something, or because we don't want to let someone down. But the reality is that overcommitting ourselves can lead to burnout and resentment. You do not have to say yes to everything. In fact, saying no to things that don't serve you is a radical act of self-respect. By saying no, you make room for the things that truly matter to you, for the opportunities that align with your passions, for the people who make you feel valued, and for the time you need to rest and recharge. When you start to say no, you start to protect your energy. You start to prioritize what's important, and you stop wasting time on things that don't contribute to your personal growth or happiness. This is not about being selfish, it's about being intentional with your time and energy. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it makes you more present, more effective, and more engaged in the things that truly matter to you. Making room for what serves you also means reevaluating your relationship with your own self-worth. Many of us spend too much of our lives believing that we have to prove our worth through our actions, through our work, or through the approval of others. We seek validation from external sources because we don't believe we're enough just as we are. But here's the truth: your worth is inherent. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to keep running around trying to win everyone's approval. When you make room for what serves you, you make room for self-love, self-acceptance, and self-respect. You allow yourself the space to honor your own needs, desires, and boundaries without feeling guilty or apologetic. Self-worth is not determined by how much you do for others or how many achievements you rack up. It's determined by how you treat yourself, how you honor your needs, and how you value your time, energy, and well-being. When you truly understand your worth, you start to make decisions from a place of self-respect. You start to fill your life with things, people, and experiences that nurture you, that inspire you, and that align with who you truly are. You stop sacrificing your happiness for the sake of others, and you stop accepting less than you deserve. Making room for what serves you also requires letting go of perfectionism. We live in a world that constantly tells us to do more, be more, and achieve more. We're often made to feel like we're not enough unless we're constantly striving for something bigger, better, and more impressive. But this constant push for perfection can leave us feeling exhausted, disconnected, and overwhelmed. Perfectionism keeps us trapped in a cycle of striving without ever feeling like we've done enough. It creates an unrealistic standard that is impossible to meet, and it prevents us from celebrating our progress and successes along the way. To make room for what serves you, you must release the need for perfection. It's about accepting yourself as you are, acknowledging that you are already enough, and embracing progress over perfection. When you stop trying to be perfect, you open up space for growth, learning, and experimentation. You allow yourself to make mistakes, to grow from them, and to let go of the idea that everything has to be flawless in order to be valuable. Perfectionism is a thief of joy. It steals your peace, your energy, and your ability to appreciate the present moment. Letting go of perfectionism makes room for self-compassion, for embracing the messiness of life, and for celebrating your journey rather than focusing solely on the destination. Another crucial part of making room for what serves you is cultivating a mindset of abundance. Too often we get stuck in a scarcity mentality, the belief that there isn't enough time, energy, or resources to go around. We hoard our time, we hold on to relationships or commitments out of fear of losing something, and we operate from a place of fear rather than abundance. But when you start to make room for what serves you, you begin to recognize that there is more than enough to go around. There is an abundance of opportunities, resources, love, and energy waiting for you. When you release what no longer serves you, you open up the flow of abundance into your life. A mindset of abundance is about trusting that there will always be enough for you. It's about believing that by letting go of what doesn't serve you, you create space for the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances to enter your life. It's about knowing that you don't have to hold on to everything out of fear of losing it. Because when you make room for what truly serves you, you attract the things that are aligned with your true desires and values. Making room for what serves you also involves honoring your mental and emotional health. We live in a fast-paced world that often prioritizes productivity and achievement over rest and self-care. But if you want to make room for what serves you, you must prioritize your mental and emotional well-being. This means creating space for rest, for reflection, for self-care, and for doing nothing. It means giving yourself permission to slow down, to take breaks, and to recharge without guilt or shame. Taking care of your mental health is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Without it, you can't fully show up for yourself or for the people and projects that truly matter to you. This might also mean letting go of old thought patterns or limiting beliefs that no longer serve you. Many of us carry around negative self-talk, doubts, or fears that hold us back from stepping into our full potential. These beliefs may have served us at one point in our lives, but they no longer have a place in our future. By making room for new, empowering beliefs, you open up the space for growth, confidence, and success. You free yourself from the constraints of the past and give yourself permission to evolve into the person you were always meant to be. Finally, making room for what serves you is about embracing the present moment. So often we are focused on the past or the future, on what we've lost or what we hope to gain. But the present moment is all we truly have. When you make room for what serves you, you allow yourself to be fully present in the here and now. You stop dwelling on what's gone or what's yet to come, and you focus on what you can do today to create a life that aligns with your desires and values. Making room for what serves you is a continuous process of clearing space, both internally and externally. There comes a point in every person's life when they need to come to terms with the reality that they deserve better. It might happen after years of enduring toxic relationships, unhealthy work environments, or a series of circumstances that have drained their energy, their confidence, and their sense of self-worth. And while this realization might come with discomfort or even fear of change, it is a pivotal moment. It is the moment when you finally understand that you are worthy of more than what you've been settling for. You deserve better. And acknowledging that truth is the first step toward transforming your life. One of the biggest reasons we settle for less than we deserve is because of the beliefs we hold about ourselves. We've all been conditioned, whether consciously or subconsciously, to believe that we are only worthy of what we're given, that if we're not receiving the love, respect, or recognition we desire, it must be because we haven't earned it. This could come from early life experiences, from the messages we receive from the world around us, or even from internalized feelings of guilt or shame. But the truth is, your worth is not determined by how others treat you. Your worth is inherent, and no amount of mistreatment, neglect, or disregard from others can diminish it. When you settle for less than you deserve, you're essentially telling yourself that you're not worthy of more. But deep down, you know that you deserve more. You deserve respect, love, support, and opportunities that allow you to flourish. You deserve to be in an environment that values you, that appreciates your contributions, and that encourages your growth. You deserve relationships that nurture you, where you feel seen, heard, and respected for who you truly are. You deserve a life that is aligned with your values and your dreams, not a life that is defined by obligation, compromise, or compromise on your well-being. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we don't deserve better because we've been taught that we should be grateful for whatever we have. Gratitude is a beautiful thing, but it should never come at the expense of your self-worth. Being grateful for what you have does not mean you should accept mistreatment or subpar circumstances. Gratitude is about appreciating the present moment and recognizing the blessings you have, but it should also fuel your desire for more, for better. It should drive you to seek out opportunities that align with your worth, to build relationships that make you feel valued, and to create a life that reflects the full extent of your potential.